Welcome back to Web3 Insights, the show where we sit down with the people shaping the decentralized future. Today's conversation is about more than tech, it's about leadership, community, and resilience. We're exploring women in Web3, breaking barriers and building futures, something I'm personally very passionate about. I'm your co host, Rose Sarah Vieira, also known as the Web3 Recruitment Girl. Joining me are two remarkable builders, also women, who have done more than just talk about inclusion, they've built it. Danielle Marie, founder of Evolve Her and All Things Blockchain, a community that's helped thousands of women enter and thrive in Web3. She's been recognized as Australia's blockchain leader of 2023 and diversity and inclusion leader of 2024 for turning education and mentorship into real world opportunity. With her, Tanya Dias, Chief Growth Officer and creator of the DeFi Growth Flywheel, a framework helping DeFi projects accelerate adoption, partnerships, and token performance. Tanya's career spans over 15 years across Web 2, Web 2.5, and Web 3, from mentoring DeFi founders on Solana to leading growth at Good Dollar, Etherisk, and Banks. She's launched global campaigns with MetaMask, Ledger, and 1inch, and created Crypto for Her initiative at Good Dollar. These are two women who prove that empowerment in Web3 isn't theoretical, it's actionable. So, welcome, you guys. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for having me. You know, it's funny. I think somebody told me about Good Dollar over the weekend.
Really
Well,
amazing.
Yeah, I think so. I think they were like, you should look at that platform because I was telling them what we're doing and what we're building. And like, oh, I'm pretty sure they said Good Dollar. I remember, I'm pretty sure I Googled it. So it's
such a
interesting how the
small
universe
world.
works.
Yeah, well, you're two very, very welcome. I mean, I'm so excited for this one, to be honest. I feel like we're definitely in a need for an episode like this that's just not focusing just on the tech, but also on the social aspect of things. But you both have taken very different paths into Web3, from Tanya's growth and go-to-market leadership to DeFi to Danielle's community-driven education platforms. Looking back, what achievements or aha moments made you feel, yes, I'm in the right industry?
What moments made me feel I think it just being from transitioning from a non-technical background, non-financial background, it was very, very intimidating in the beginning. I think the moment where I was like, okay, I'm actually on the right path is when I was able to actually start helping other people enter in the industry, and I got over the fear of like, oh, I don't know enough. I need to spend more time learning. And I literally had this conversation on the weekend with one of the interns that I'm bringing on, and she said the same thing. I was like, oh, you should start teaching. And she goes, oh, I don't know enough yet. I'm like, you do know enough. So I think that moment where I got the opportunity to start teaching people that what I knew, and the feeling of like, I got on helping other people, and then how excited they got when it clicked in their brain what blockchain was, and how the problems that it was solving, and it's not just about getting rich quick. It feels good. It feels like, okay, it's like, I've onboarded another person into the Web3 ecosystem.
What
Yeah.
about you, Tanya?
Yeah, my journey was different. I was in a Web2 company, and I'd been kind of working in Web2 for a while after university. I climbed up the ladder, and I was like at head of marketing level with a software as a service company. And I left that firm in the pandemic. And I had the luxury of time during that time to just reflect, wondering where I'm going to go next in my career. I had been plateauing for a while. And I came across like the crypto industry, going through all the different things in Web3, and really absorbing as much content as possible and creating content of my own. And then one of the Web3 companies actually spotted me on social media. and offered me an interview. And before I knew it, I was like doing a CMO role
Mhm,
in a DeFi company. I mean, it's not a typical journey at all,
mhm,
but I guess that's also the power of Web3 as well. It operates in a very different way. And yes, just like Danielle said, I was just overwhelmed with the amount of information that I had to learn very fast to be operational quite quickly. And once I was in there, it took me a while, and then I got that aha moment, like, why did I move here? And it was when I was actually running that crypto for her campaign, onboarding like women and girls into Web3, and they were running their micro businesses, and we were spotlighting, and I was collecting like user generated content. And then I could see the real impact of Web3 in a way that Web2 doesn't impact, like unbanked and underbanked people. Web3 really did. There were clear use cases. And that was a real aha moment for me, that the work that I was doing was actually impacting people. And then I knew, that's it, I'm in the right place.
mhm. I love it. I mean, both of your stories are so inspirational. I think the not, get rich scheme route is so inspiring, honestly. Like, I think I see myself a lot in what you said. When you think of the good, what are some of the tangible victories you've seen in this space or led? Because for people that don't know Web3 a lot, it can seem a space, navigated by scams a lot of times. I think that's what Web2 often thinks of Web3 and crypto. For example, Danielle at Evolve Her, you've created mentorship pipelines for women entering blockchain. I've done your trading course. It was amazing. And Tanya, your Crypto for Her campaign has brought hundreds of women into Web3 and turned education into empowerment. So, what kind of moments made you realize progress for women in this space is real and, well, not just performative?
Um, Yeah, I think that's a very wide and deep discussion, but on a high level, I don't think it's just the crypto industry. I think it's multiple different industries that you can look at in any male dominated industry. And just so happens that the crypto or even just tech in general tends to be quite heavily male dominated. And I realized at one point because I'm a very much an alpha female, so going into a room full of men doesn't intimidate me. And I'll never forget this one day, this one story, which was like the moment that I realized that I needed to work on creating more of a safe space for women is we were at an event, I was hosting it, and I didn't even realize it was just me and this one other lady that was there, and it was like 40 guys. And I was trying to get them all to leave the venue space to go to the restaurant across the way where we're going to continue networking. And I could kind of see her waiting there, and I was like, "Oh, are you going to come over next door?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah." And then I realized she was waiting for me. And she was waiting for me because she wanted to come, but then if she went over there, she'd be the only woman. And that made
Mm,
me realize, I'm like, okay, I need to create a space. And so I do that out of all of our events. We host them every single month here in Brisbane. I host them globally. But the events that are not specifically, we have our She Connects event, which are specifically designed for women. So we have lots of them. But any of the other events, I'll always be at the front door. And when I see a new lady or woman that comes into the door, I introduce myself to them, and then I actually take them and I actually physically introduce them to the other women. And then they kind of feel comfortable, especially imagine they've already built up the courage to go to a meetup to learn that they don't know anyone, and then to learn something new that they don't understand, and then they get there and then it's full of men. And if they're an attractive woman on top of that, a lot of the times the men are like, "Oh, look, pretty girl here," and like they all swarm her. So it can be very, very, very intimidating, right? So I really identified that. I was like, okay, how can I create a space that is welcoming and that is inviting? And so then You know, then next time they come because they've made friends, and then they walk in the door and then they're like, oh yeah, I met you, you and you and you last time. So I really try to create that culture amongst the females that are in our community.
I love that. I'm going to comment that in a second, but I'm going to let you go. Tanya, what have been some of the positive moments that you've seen? Okay, this is improving.
Yep, yep. So in Web3, I read an article on social media a while ago that there are only 15% women
Mm,
in the industry, which is way less than in financial services in Web 2 or in Web 2 tech, which is like about 40 and 50% on average. So that is a lot less. And it's only, I think, the alpha females that Danielle mentioned who are really getting out there, speaking at events, speaking on community panels, and getting themselves seen. And the rest are being very quiet. And it's not
yeah,
because there is a huge volume, it's just because there are actually less women. And it might be because they could be risk averse, they're not really understanding the industry very well, too
mm,
scared to speak up. And one of the things I found, like being in leadership in like Web3 companies, is that you've got to really stand your ground because there'll be plenty of people who will question you.
yeah,
Like when I give like advice on marketing, I will get pushback quite
yeah,
often. And often it's about numbers because like the financial, chief financial officer will want to know the numbers because it's important.
mhm,
And you've got to really hold your ground. You've got to be comfortable with the numbers and you've got to be resilient because, as Danielle said, like if you are female and even worse, if you're pretty, they're not
yeah,
going to take you seriously sometimes. And
mm,
so you've got to really hold your ground. And as a leader, it can be lonely. And that's true for everybody, irrespective of gender. And not just that, you've got to also protect your team as well.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, it's your skills, your experience, and your results that count. And when, like, investors, the customers, the community, and the founders see your results, that's really what matters at the end of the day. And then a lot of those kind of detractors and the things that intimidated you initially when you came into the industry kind of start to fall away because the results really matter.
mm,
Um, and I find that actually really, really helpful. It's taken me a while. I mean, I've been in the industry about 5 years. And of course, at the beginning, I had all that kind of pushback that I did way back in like Web 2 as well. And I had that in Web 3 too. And just like Danielle, I also tried to create a space where I mentor people. I have built high performing teams where people are not scared to speak up. They brainstorm, they come up with ideas, they take initiatives. And that's, what I can do in my personal capacity in the space. And I think the more people who do that, the more they create that kind of space where women and minorities can really thrive in this industry.
yeah,
And with Web3, I mean, you can be a builder. Anyone can be a builder in a way that you can't in Web 2. So you can take the initiative and create your own like business or, come up with ideas that just don't exist anywhere else. And it's okay. And the worst that happens is it's like, it doesn't work out. But that's fine. And I think this is such a creative, pioneering space. It's really quite exciting. And there are educators like Danielle and others who are out there who help onboard women with like clear training that they can learn and they can start to not feel scared about like how to set up a wallet, how to
yeah,
do um, have like cold wallets, hot wallets, how to do investing, how
oh, yeah,
to bridge and so on, and then just get by in the industry because a lot of like companies will look at how active you are by checking your wallet addresses. So the more
let's do it.
activity that you have, the better. You know that as a recruiter as well, that some companies really want to see just how active and invested you are in the industry before they even speak to you as a candidate.
Yeah,
So I think it's
absolutely.
pretty important.
Just bringing it back though, I mean, I think what you've both said about, being a woman in this space, there's a lot to deconstruct there. I mean, I've never had the pleasure of meeting you in person, Tanya, but I did meet Danielle this year at Token in Dubai. You see a lot of quote unquote crypto bros. I think when I saw you, Danielle, I was like, okay, we're good, we're good. It was at the end of the event, which is unfortunate, but I feel like that sense of community just was driven. So I think we kind of segue into the next topic that I was going to bring, which is the bad. I mean, success stories rarely come easy. Um, Tanya, I want to start with you now. What kind of were the biggest hurdles you faced when leading large scale initiatives? I mean, whether that's gaining traction for DeFi adoption, securing partnership, how do you push them through?
Yeah, when I first started in Web3, there was a lot of pushback because I didn't have like a established name and people didn't know who I was. So I pretty much started from scratch. So I had all of the pushback about, my skills. But as I alluded to earlier, like once you start getting results, people learn that you have skills and that you can drive initiatives through. Um, for me, growing the community, getting loyalty from the community through building trust with them has been a big, I think, a big step change in how founders have viewed me because I still keep in contact, or rather, the communities from various projects still keep in contact with me and tell me how they get on. And this is years after I've left projects. And that's really nice. And I think it's really touching that they still keep in contact. And I think trust is underestimated in this industry because some projects just want to show their protocols and so on. And once you build that trust, that is like a really important thing. And it builds cachet in the industry and your reputation.
Mhm,
And I think in terms of like hurdles, the biggest pushbacks was really I would say from people who are not so good at performing in their roles. So
mhm,
they felt threatened when somebody new comes in and they're starting to get results. So a lot of pushback, a little bit of, bullying, I would say. I
mhm.
had all of that, but, I'm quite a resilient person and like Danielle, quite an alpha female.
Yeah.
So I just brush that off and I just deliver results. I have the community behind me. I have happy investors, happy customers who give me testimonials and endorsements. So at the end of the day, the people who matter notice, and the people who don't matter, they kind of fall away by the wayside eventually. But while you go through that process, it can be rather challenging. And I would say that's true even in Web 2 as well. It's the same kind of journey. Um, and I think educating about what marketing is really, it's one of those disciplines people don't really understand. They think it's maybe just about posting on social media, for example, because a lot of what crypto bros do is like build up hype and people think, well, that is what marketing is.
Mhm,
But when you get actually people who are trained in marketing and who know the discipline, they do marketing in a different way. They build a strategy, they have campaigns that actually fit into a strategy, they have goals and it's quite a different way of doing marketing to what's happening in the industry at the moment. And people see the difference when a marketer, and a lot of women are in marketing in Web3. So I see like departments full of women in my industry and in my function. So when marketers are really kind of doing what they're trained to do, it really is a big step change.
mhm. Awesome. Perfect. I mean, both of you have alluded to the fact that you're both alpha females. I consider myself one as well. I feel alpha females don't, walk in packs. We kind of have to for our own spaces. I guess I can switch back to you, Danielle. What kind of propelled you to become this way? And for those in our audience that feel a bit shy, feel a bit intimidated, do you have any advice to become more, alpha in that way?
I think I think you're just, in my opinion, born that way. I think
Mhm,
obviously everybody can change if they want to and do coaching. But even before I got into the Web3 industry, I was in hospitality and I was very much the same way. So I think that it's just kind of naturally how we were born or how we were brought up. I think there's kind of those traits. But I do believe also at the same time, that's kind of our innate nature. So some people are very good at, academics, and some are very good naturally technical. I am not naturally technical. I am naturally not good at academics. So I think it's just about identifying kind of what your strengths are. But you can always, if you're like, okay, I want to learn more confident, I want to be more confident when I walk into a room, or I want this. And that really just comes down to finding a mentor or coach, podcasts, books. So it just takes a bit of time to invest in yourself. I've been doing business development courses. I actually am starting to work with a life coach and a business development coach next month. So I am constantly looking for people that can help me become the best version of myself. So if you want to achieve something, if you're like, oh, okay, I want to walk into a room and not feel shy, more confident, or you are, this is the biggest one when I have women that are very nervous about public speaking. And then I coach them and I just tell them, and then they get up there and they do their first session, and then they get off and they're like, oh my God, that was so much fun and that
Mhm.
was amazing. And then they love it and they want to do it. It's always that first time that you do something. So it's just finding a support system, being willing to put in the work, and then find somebody that resonates with you that can kind of support you through that journey.
Yeah, I feel
100%.
yeah.
100%. I really, really agree with what Danielle says, that you really have to invest in yourself, because the results are just compounding. Like if you do public speaking, you can like speak on podcasts, you can speak everywhere, and even in like business meetings, it just builds that confidence. And the results are just, yeah, tenfold from just that investment in helping yourself, whether you're doing a course or getting mentorship from somebody. It really, I do like continuous learning myself, and it's important. You never just stop, and I think that's part of being an alpha female. I would say that, unlike Danielle, I actually started off very shy, hated public speaking, but I just got fed up of being told to be quiet and stick to my lane and stay in the background. And I was like, no, no, I won't. I think
Absolutely.
I will
Good,
speak up
good.
I
actually.
love I think that's why I wanted to include you, Tanya, in this conversation as well. I feel like with Danielle, like you get that like strong feeling from the get-go, but I feel like it's also important for our audience who haven't, who weren't born like that, that can also learn that it's okay to take up space. Like you don't have to sit in the back and stay quiet and be confused as the assistant. We're almost running out of time, and I could literally be very upset with myself, but I just wanted to touch on the future. So obviously, like there's a lot of talk right now with Bitcoin being down. I don't really want to talk about crypto per se, but what is the future of Web3 for women? Is there hope? Do you feel like the space is kind of stagnated? What is your perception about the next couple of years for women in Web3?
Um, I don't look at the charts.
Mhm.
I am in it for the long haul. It's the technology. So I think anybody that takes the time, whether they're male or female, to learn and understand the technology, Web3 and AI, I would be looking at both of those. The future is very bright.
Yeah.
So don't focus on the charts, focus on the tech and educate yourself. And I think that we've got a very prosperous future.
Thank you. What about you, Tanya?
Yeah, I do look at the charts.
Mhm.
And I joined this year, I joined like an investing club. So I look at the charts regularly, and I've learned strategies to invest and to trade. And I recently hit a milestone in my profit taking. So I got
Okay.
my first 10,000 in profits, and I got like an
Wow,
award for
congratulations.
that. So it's my first step to being a crypto whale.
Yeah.
One day. So I do look at the charts, and I've kind of learned how to build strategies and build wealth on the way down, whether the market's down or when it's going
Mhm.
up, because that's what crypto whales do. And it was really
Yeah.
hard when I joined to find people to learn from. And it took me a while to find, a club. So that's really important. I also believe that it's the future's really bright as well, because I
Mhm.
work with pioneers, I work with startups, so I see what's coming in the industry, and some of those projects are super, super exciting.
Mhm.
They can really dramatically change the industries that they are um, disrupting and impacting. And I don't think it's like an evolutionary change, it's a revolutionary change. And I find that really exciting because a lot of systems are broken, especially financial services where it came from. So, yes, I think the future is really bright, and Web3 is leading the way.
Yeah, I love that so much. I mean, this has been one of my favorite podcast episodes, to be honest. Like, I'm definitely going to follow up with you to do another one because I think we need more conversations like this. For those of you interested, and you want to connect with both Tanya and Danielle, you can reach out to Tanya on her LinkedIn, by looking her up at Tanya Dias. You can also explore the DeFi Growth Wheel framework, and definitely check out Involve Her and Women in Digital Economy at evolveher.com. Of course, follow Web3 Insights on Spotify and YouTube. I love you guys and have a beautiful day. And that's it for me. Have a good one, guys. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.